So I did something really stupid the other day. And that simply put, before I get into this and talk about it, I want to use this disclaimer. Do not do this. Do not try this. Do not attempt this. If you do, talk to a doctor first before you try anything. I'm not saying that this is a good idea. I'm not saying that anybody should even try this at any level because it could be very dangerous to your body. And essentially, what I did was I ran 15 and a half miles without water. So I hydrated beforehand and I hydrated in the morning beforehand. I probably drank about like 16 to 20 ounces of water. But after that, I ran the 15 and a half miles and did not have a single sip of water throughout that time. And what I came to realize why that is so stupid is picture a piece of steak or a piece of chicken or a pork or whatever it is, a piece of meat that you can get from the butcher. Now, you can picture that it's usually wet. It has moisture on it. It probably has a lot of water content depending on how fresh it is. And then once you cook it, once you put it in the oven for a certain amount of time, once you start to cook it, it loses a lot of that moisture. And now picture that steak or that piece of chicken or whatever, and picture it when it's been sitting out or you cooked it for far too long. It just gets completely dry and stringy. And that's like this realization that I had of what's ultimately happening to your body. Because when I was running the 15 and a half miles, when I was going down the streets and everything, I started to notice, I was in my head going, am I getting tired? Is it dehydration, or is it that I really can't physically handle this? And by the time I started to get super tired, your mind first starts to, get not as focused. You start to lose focus. And that happened at about like 11 miles in, 9 to 11 miles. I wanted to start quitting. But your body can always go a little bit further. And then by mile 13 to 14, I could start to feel my muscles start to like just feel like not like just incredibly sore and not working properly. And by mile 15, they were just like they didn't want to work anymore. Now, this could be in part glucose, not having enough sugar, not having enough proteins, carbohydrates, not having enough water, of course. It could be a whole bunch of different reasons. But the way that my legs started to feel, they simply were not functioning properly anymore. And today, while I was running, I did about 8.5, 8.6 miles or something like that. And I started to wonder, I started to think like what it was that about my body that was starting to not work properly. Was my heart not pumping efficiently? Were my muscles simply not getting enough water? And what does that look like? And I came to this conclusion, and this is why you should probably listen to this part, is hydrate your body. This part is important. The importance of hydration, keeping your body hydrated when you go through exercise. You have to, because just imagine now, I'm not sure like how much water your body can lose before it starts to look like a dried out, overcooked steak or piece of chicken. It probably has to be a lot, and you're probably dead by that time. But as you can imagine, as your body starts to lose water, there's probably parts of your body that starts to have a mild experience of that. And that is incredibly frightening for, I would assume, athletes or anybody who, is into fitness. Like, why would you put your body through dehydration? It is just ridiculous, stupid. Now, I didn't feel dehydrated at the time, but I could tell that my body was starting to shut down. Not like my heart and mind and everything, I still felt healthy, but my legs and my arms even were starting to get like stiff and tired, and the muscles didn't want to work anymore. And again, it could have been part fatigue. It could have been part just my body wasn't ready to go more than 15 and a half miles. I don't know exactly. But having not drank any water throughout that entire run and losing quite a bit of sweat, it wasn't too hot out, but losing quite a sweat, you can imagine if you stick anything my internal body temperature, or my external, I don't remember the exact. So I have this device that measures my body temperature. It said something like, my highest body temperature was about like 82 degrees on the outside. So maybe internally it was much hotter. But you can imagine whatever the temperature is in your body, that your organs, your body parts, the meat inside your body, your muscle tissue, your fibers, all of that really starts to dry. And maybe not at the level again as a dry piece of steak that's been overcooked and you can't even chew it. But as you can imagine, like how that steak transforms from a raw piece, or chicken transform from a raw piece to something that is completely inedible. I'm not like saying that people should become, I'm not like condoning cannibalism here or anything, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. But just imagining what meat looks like at that level, and it is just something that you should not do to your body, because who knows what the results are. Like if you cook a piece of meat, it's irreversible almost, essentially. Like if you cook like the animal's dead, of course, but if you cook that piece of meat, it is dead, it is gone, right? And of course, we're not cooking our bodies internally, but you can imagine that if you're dehydrating your body, this is what starts to happen. And as your body starts to heat up, like inside, this is just something to consider before you go on and try to not hydrate. So, I usually run with a bottle of water, but for whatever reason, I wanted to just try this out just to see what would happen, like how far my body could go. And I don't recommend it. People should not do this, because if you want to take care of your body, if you want to be fit, if you want to be in shape, if you want your body to feel good and look good, then you got to hydrate, you got to breathe, you got to eat well, and all of these things. And with all of that said, this was an interesting experience. And, if you've never really tried something like this and felt your body at that level, and this isn't like some extreme level, like sitting in a desert, walking until you can't walk anymore. I probably could have walked a little further, but at some level in my mind, I was saying, all right, my body doesn't want to move anymore. It's not that it can't, it's not that I don't want to move anymore. It's literally that the muscles were starting to like spasm and they weren't starting to work properly. And it wasn't like extreme pain or anything. But when that starts to happen, you got to question, or at least I started to question. I started to wonder what's going on. And I came to the conclusion it probably had a lot to do with dehydration, and also maybe not fueling properly, but a lot to do with dehydration. And just, that's a scary image, isn't it? Thinking of your organs, your body parts, your liver, your heart, your brain, all of the vessels inside your body that make everything function, that are surrounded by water, that are filled with water, that are 80% water, 90 something percent water. I don't know how much your body, I think it's like 70-80% water, right? Like a huge portion of water. And suddenly that starts to drop and drop and drop, and your body just, that's what's happening in your body. It's scary. I mean, I hope that anybody who watches this will ultimately take better care of their hydration, and just realize, like, that's a scary thing to happen in your body. Don't do it. Why would you, if you have all the water that you would possibly need to do a run? Now, of course, that was an experiment for myself. I'm not saying to do it. And always, before you try any sort of physical activity or whatever, talk to a physician, your doctor, go see your doctor, go see your physician, talk to them, have a conversation around them, tell them, maybe don't tell them about how stupid this idea is, and don't tell them that you're going to try this because this is bad. But at the end of the day, hydrate. Don't let your body or your organs start to dry up. And I don't know how long it would take to actually dry up, but somewhere along the line, your muscles start to lose water. Your body starts to lose water, and that just is not a good thing. So with that, thank you for watching this video. Hope it was helpful. Hope it helps you stay fit, and of course, appreciate the abundance of water that you can potentially have in your life. And that is ultimately the essence of life. I mean, you got oxygen, but oxygen makes everything go. But when we really start to think about how water is in our muscles and what our muscles look like potentially when they're filled with water and functioning properly compared to if they've been like dried up and whatever has happened, right? So with that, thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful day. Happy fitness goals. Bye.